So let's end it with this one, and this one is by Endymion TV. I don't know. It's called Starfield proves that modern gaming is getting worse. Plus, IGN and GameSpot review angers Bethesda fans. Yeah, I'm skipping the pronouns forever. Anyway, let's watch this one.
What's up, everyone? It's Endymion, and the time is upon us, where the savior of the Xbox...
Do we have tips? Yeah, you can, like, tips. There's, like, a link down in the description. Oh, although I'm not sure if it works because it broke because, what's it called? Stream Elements changed something, and it's a bit different now. But there's, like, Super Chat and all of that. It's all fine.
brand has arrived upon the shores of modern gaming. With the release of Starfield finally within the hands of eager early access players, but is it enough to save the Xbox brand? And if not, why? It's a somewhat uncomfortable truth that extends beyond just the existence of Starfield itself. This is a complicated situation years in the making.
Oh, thank you,
Jim
Jim.
Flag super chatted $20. Here is a little money for
Thank
your
you,
channel.
Jim Flag. Love you.
Will likely burst. So can Starfield save Xbox? My simple answer is no, it can't. That's not to say it won't delight players and garner a robust modding community.
Oh, we will watch that, Scarred, in a bit.
It will likely
finish
have
off with
plenty of staying power if it ends up like anything else mainline Bethesda has made in the past. But at its core, Starfield is an anomaly within the structure that it exists within. And it's very likely that we'll never see another release of this magnitude on Xbox for years to come. One of these reasons is that Starfield was very obviously meant to be a multi-platform game. It was originally in development long before Microsoft went ahead and
Jim is a
purchased the
sweetheart.
entire Bethesda
I'm gonna tell you right
brand.
now.
So naturally, the game was not designed for something like Game Pass
Amazing
originally
guy,
anyway.
honestly.
That being said, it also comes down to simple economics as well. Starfield is a massive game, costing around $200 million to develop over its 8 years.
Which, in terms of today's games, is an okay amount, especially if you consider that, like, this amount of money probably also went, like, they're including marketing into, like, 200 million probably. But even if they haven't, 7 years of development, 200 million, it's not that bad. It's not like GTA 5 costed like much more. Red Dead costed much more.
Of development.
There we go, like,
Just
again with
speaking
Red
from
Dead
a money
Redemption.
perspective, a game of this size and budget can't exactly recoup its costs over something like a subscription service. It's also why PlayStation's higher-ups already confirmed they would never consider
Yeah, so Red Dead Redemption 2 costed ad blocker. Costed like 540 million to make. You can Google it.
releasing their big budget AAA games onto PlayStation Plus day one, since financially it would make 0 sense. For comparison, as of August 2023, God of War Ragnarok has crossed 11 million copies sold. Let's just say, for simplicity's sake, that each of those copies were sold
I gotta
for
get
full
this
price.
one for PlayStation.
That would mean Ragnarok made almost $800 million in revenue since its release last year. If Ragnarok had released on PS Plus day one, sure, it would have boosted their subscription rates for a time, but generally speaking, the amount of money Sony would have made versus selling Ragnarok as a premium game is nowhere near as profitable. From Forbes.com, we have this article that states Game Pass may have more subscribers than the lower tier streaming services, like Peacock, for example. Despite this, Microsoft has been pretty quiet on their subscription numbers, which isn't only worrying, but it's sadly expected. In 2022...
Right, because I'm barely a console owner. PlayStation 5 is my first one. So, can somebody explain to me how Game Pass works on Xbox? Is it the same thing as PSN? No, that's PlayStation Network. PSN Plus or whatever. Where you, like, each month you get, like, different games that you can play, like AAA games or whatever. I paid for that on PlayStation, and I was like, golf? Seriously? I get golf for free? Fuck that. It's like a Tiger Woods EA Sports kind of a game. I don't care about that at all. But can you like actually play it for free if you're on Game Pass?
For example, Game
I don't know
Pass
how it works.
subscriptions fell short of their projections, with only a 28% increase when Microsoft was projecting at least 73%.
Okay, so yeah, it is like a subscription model, basically the same thing. It's a sub-service that lets you play games that are available. Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay.
While this may seem fine still, since they have roughly 25...
Honestly, I hate that because it's a roll of dice, basically. It's a good thing to have, but also it's no different than just like betting on something and losing, right? Because I'm pretty sure, like, what's it called? Mortal Kombat is about to release. I don't know if it's gonna release on like all the platforms, but I bought it on PS5 so I can play it with my girlfriend. I'm probably gonna play it on stream at some point, but I'm pretty sure that game is not gonna be on PSN Plus unless you buy the higher tier of it. Because Jesus Christ, of course, there's gonna be tiers.
Million people subscribe to Game
See you, Legion.
Pass. The unfortunate truth is that the
I'm gonna finish the
subscription
stream
bubble
soon
is
anyway.
going to burst across the industry. I don't mean just games either, with streaming platforms like Disney Plus, for example, hemorrhaging money at staggering paces. Because of subscriptions in general, it's not only diluting the content being made, it's causing customers to not invest as heavily as they used to. In Disney Plus's case, the existence of that platform has ruined their theatrical releases, since customers now know they don't really have to go to the theater to see their movies. They can just wait 2 months and watch it at home, and it's had a massive impact on Disney's bottom line.
No, it's not like HBO, Jim. That's the difference. Because with HBO, at least the one that we have here in Serbia, and I'm pretty sure that you have a much better experience with HBO in like US or wherever you're from. Aren't you? Yeah. Aren't you from Canada? Or I may be tripping. It doesn't matter. So with HBO, or let's say Disney Plus, because I just got Disney Plus because I can have it on my PlayStation, and I wanted to watch Ahsoka, and it's like a lot cheaper than Netflix. You already have Battlestar Galactica. You already have, let's say, all the Marvel movies and all that, all the Star Wars movies and series. You already have bunch of shit. Firefly series. I forgot like Die Hard movies. I forgot like huge Hollywood flicks that you can watch on demand on Disney Plus, right? And it's cheaper than Netflix. But with Netflix, it's mostly like nowadays it's just mostly the things that they produce, and they're mostly just shit, honestly. And that's why I'm not paying for Netflix anymore, ever. But the thing is, when you're buying or paying for Game Pass, can you play the games that were free before? I don't think so. At least not on PlayStation Plus. Thank you, Pagan Linux Geek, for becoming a member. Thank you, dude. So that's the difference, right? Because with like Disney Plus and HBO and all of that, you can watch the old movies that are still available, that you can like, you don't need to wait for something that is potentially good or not. For HBO, you can watch the Game of Thrones if you're into that, but just don't watch the last fucking season because it was trash.
You don't need to be a genius to understand that Starfield would absolutely make more money if it sold at full price than being on Game Pass. You can't argue really that having every customer paying around $70 for the game, as opposed to buying 1 month of Game Pass to...
Disney has blown itself up with terrible movies. I don't know, I just got it. Like, I just got it maybe 15 days ago, and I saw that I can watch Firefly there. I saw that all the Marvel things that my girlfriend loves. She likes some Marvel stuff, so she's probably going to watch that. So it's cheaper than Netflix, so therefore I'm going to get that, and you can watch a bunch of shit. You know what was the best thing? Pirating, right? but that really doesn't support the content creators. That really doesn't support the people that are making movies and all of that. So yeah,
play it would obviously generate
you
way
obviously
less
shouldn't do
revenue
it
for Microsoft. And they know that their Game Pass model is having diminishing returns, and it's becoming increasingly expensive for them to maintain and keep the subscription filled with content every month. Currently, Game Pass costs around $11 a month, or $17 if you got the ultimate version. But even then, that means Microsoft would make as much as one person buying Starfield at full price for every maybe 5 or 6 people paying the subscription price to play it. And this isn't even unique to Xbox, since recently PlayStation has raised the prices of PlayStation Plus by roughly 33% across the board. And starting September 6, 2023, annual PS Plus rates will rise from $60 to $80 and premium from $120 to $160 a year. None of this is surprising if you've kept up to date on the state of streaming in general across the industries. It's becoming increasingly more apparent that the current structure of streaming services are largely just not sustainable.
Yeah, Jim, that's always my argument. Like, I can see that you guys are still talking about like what's woke and what's not. If something is bad, it's just bad. It doesn't matter if it's woke or not. I already made that argument, so I'm not gonna continue making that fucking argument. I didn't watch She-Hulk. I watched the first episode and it was bad, and I was like, no. But then again, I didn't watch Seinfeld because it's not my type of fucking humor. Is it woke? I don't fucking know. I don't care. It's just bad. For me, it's bad. I don't like it.
Starfield was simply made into a Game Pass game because, again, Bethesda was bought by Microsoft during its development. And the existence of Game Pass only exists because Microsoft has openly stated that they can't compete in terms of quality titles with Sony or Nintendo. The simple but really sad truth is that Game Pass is having diminishing returns across the board. And outside of Starfield, there really isn't much coming that could save Game Pass or Xbox. It's unfortunate as well because I think a strong Xbox ecosystem is necessary for the gaming industry. Not only because of its ownership of series like Halo, but because without Xbox's existence, it gives PlayStation and Nintendo very little competition or reason to innovate. After all, PS Plus being completely rebranded and offering new titles like Sea of Stars, for example, it only exists because of Game Pass. And if Xbox staple titles like Halo Infinite couldn't save Game Pass, Starfield unfortunately won't either. Realistically,
did I get
Microsoft
this wrong?
Would need a
Did he say that like PS Plus exists because of Game Pass? Huh? No, it's because people just want more money. That's it. It doesn't matter if there's Sony or fucking Xbox. They're gonna find ways to get into your wallet.
Because of Game Pass. And if Xbox staple titles like Halo Infinite couldn't save Game Pass, Starfield unfortunately won't either. Realistically, Microsoft would need a Starfield level release every 2 months at least in order to keep building its momentum. But that's obviously impossible, especially when a game like it takes almost a decade to make. Subscriptions in terms of games anyway largely only seem to be profitable for basic level stuff like playing online, or when the subscription model is paid for one single game, like Final Fantasy XIV Online for example. But when you have a community of customers who all want different genres in games, it's impossible for Game Pass or PS Plus to ever really meet the expectations of their consumer base. To be real with you, even if Sony suddenly announced that Spider-Man 2 would be coming to PS Plus, it wouldn't really boost the service in the long run. For the short term, sure, but ultimately after the hype has died down and the game's novelty has passed, the amount of
purely because you can buy the Game Pass for less money than buying the game itself. Or the Game Pass, the PlayStation Plus.
Revenue generated by a PS Plus Day 1 release of Spider-Man compared to just selling the game like normal would be astronomically different in terms of gross revenue. Then there's Starfield's reception, which as of the making of this video has an 88 on
And honestly, you know what? I think it would be stupid of them to do that because in the long run, it makes you less money, right? And I'm gonna say, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong here, so don't fucking attack me because, as I've said, I wasn't into consoles, and I'm still not that much. yes, they do have a PlayStation 5. But from what I've heard is that like PS5 has won over Xbox when it comes to the tech that is inside. Like it has better fucking graphics or whatever. I'm not sure, but Starfield and Microsoft having like Starfield on Game Pass looks like they want to fucking sell more Xboxes so you can like get the game for free, under quotations, or for like less money, just so they can sell more Xboxes, because they're like losing the race to PlayStation. Because like back, I'm gonna say like 10 years back, when PlayStation 3 was released, Xbox One or something like that was, or 360 was released, and I remember that people were saying that they're really like equally matched. So what is Game Pass? Game Pass is basically the same. We already talked about it, Horace, but you were talking about woke agenda and all of that, so you didn't hear it. Game Pass is basically the same thing as PlayStation Plus. You pay for it on a monthly basis. It's a subscription thing, and you get games for free. Each month, you get a different game for free. Currently, as far as I know, on PlayStation Plus, it's like there's different tiers, and I'm the lowest tier, and I have access to fucking Tiger Woods golf or whatever it's called, and I'm not interested at all. So I'm not gonna pay for the fucking subscription like anymore. So yeah.
Critic. And around 86 or 87 on Xbox. It's a solid score. Hell, it's actually really good considering everything it has going against it. But it's not even in the top 5 Metacritic scores of the year. And there's one review specifically that's dividing fans in the form of IGN's, who gave the game a 7 out of 10, which has made the Xbox community very unhappy. Places like Reddit are already discussing the controversial review score, but the reviewer in question, Dan Stapleton, had quite a lot to say about Starfield. IGN says Starfield has terrible item management, with roughly 30% of the experience being just you sitting in an inventory screen.
Unfortunately, that's true.
Moving stuff around.
Yeah,
there's also apparently no map for exploration, meaning you're kind of blindly stumbling through levels with no concept of the layout of your surroundings. While having no map for, say, an uncharted world makes sense, it's bizarre that the human cities at the very least don't have a map. That's a
well, Jay's Den, at least like people told me that it's the same as a PlayStation Store, a PlayStation Plus. And with PlayStation Plus, with the lowest tier that I'm paying for, or that I paid like 3 months for, you only get like 3 games, and that's it. You don't have hundreds of games to play for free.
Very bizarre omission for a game like this, but it is something they can add later. One of the larger complaints I've seen across many reviews from IGN, ACG, and more is that outside of these dev-made planets, Starfield suffers from repetitive, randomly generated planets. They also have little to nothing to do on them and simply exist for players to farm for resources. And this is not a good thing, since one of Starfield's biggest selling points is the existence
not
of
gonna lie, IGN is
travel,
pretty based with a review.
The same issue that vanilla No Man's Sky does. That once you actually get to these planets, there isn't much of anything to do really. What Starfield does here with its random generation of content, and I use that word very loosely, is very troubling to me personally. Because there's this annoying obsession with wanting to make every big game even larger and vast. Yet it's obviously impossible, as of now anyways, to fill these stupidly huge worlds with meaningful content. A big world to explore is cool, I guess, to an extent, but when it's just rocks and nothing else, I would argue that's not exactly content. And like IGN and other reviews have said, it's disappointing that these infinite planets simply exist for resources, basically. IGN also claims outside of its...
That was like one of my main concerns when they said that like there's gonna be thousands of planets that you can go to, and 100 systems and all of that. And I was like, is it just gonna be like barren fucking wastelands that you're gonna land on just to like take resources? If so, I mean, that's not bad, but then give us really interesting and good points of interest, right?
Its quest, Starfield is condensed
But
into
like, little did I know that everything is just gonna be like in between. Yes, you have some degree of exploration if you want to see the same bunker over and over again, bunker or whatever, facility, outpost on every map of every planet that you land on. And you have the points of interest that are just like, okay. And that's it.
Scanning stuff and shooting random things for the majority of it. While I'm sure this will be fun for the first few hours or days, I'm very interested to see how the community responds to it several months down the road once the novelty is worn off. And unsurprisingly, the game has quite a few bugs, but thankfully it's not as bad as previous Bethesda releases,
That
which
is true.
I personally think that's incredible. Especially considering who made this, so the fact this is the least buggy release from Bethesda is honestly a
This guy didn't have this kind of movement when I talked to them.
massive win.
But
So congrats to them on that, seriously. But largely speaking, Starfield is a lot like Bethesda's previous games. It's basically Fallout in space, and while there's nothing wrong with that, it's unsurprising to see that that's what it ultimately ended up becoming. And as I was writing this, GameSpot just released their review for Starfield as well, and they gave it a 7. Yikes.
really? So they also changed. They also changed. That's cool. I just shat on them, by the way. I don't know if it was like during this video or during another one, but yeah. Like back in the day, both IGN and GameSpot had like some really weird scores for games. Like they would give like a decent game that wasn't like revolutionary in any sense. They would give it like a score of fucking 9 out of 10. It's not like if you read the review, like they will say, well, it's not that good, but like 9 out of 10. Like, come on.
Bethesda's spacefaring adventure has its moments with impressive scale, satisfying combat, and some worthwhile side quests. But its shallow RPG systems and uninspired vision of the cosmos make for a journey that's a mile wide but an inch deep. GameSpot also claims Starfield has shallow RPG mechanics and uninspired story, underwhelming space exploration, and like IGN said already, a terrible in-game map.
Yeah.
Oh man. Look, I know you might have thought this video was just going to be me pulling my pants down and unloading a fat one in Xbox's mouth, but honestly, I want this game to do well because it'll push PlayStation and other companies to do better too. But it's frustrating that the supposed savior of Xbox is a polarizing experience of insane highs and depressing lows. And it continues this annoying trend of games marketing themselves as RPG.
You know what? Fucking Sony has Naughty Dog, Uncharted, The Last of Us. I think they're actually like owners of Naughty Dog. Those games are fucking amazing.
While dumbing down or having surface level RPG mechanics. It's also a complaint people had about.
I would say that like okay, like a game that's okay is 5. A good game is like 6 and 7. That's why I gave it 6.5 out of 10.
Final Fantasy 16, for example, that it's more an action game than an RPG, which I agree with as well. So
yeah, Jim, yeah,
like
that's it. That's
what
exactly
I hope
it.
The industry learns from Starfield is that developers should be allowed to take more risks when making games. But unfortunately, I think the lesson most companies and executives will take from this is to invest less in dedicated quest designs, and instead focus on randomly generated nonsense content. Yeah. Maybe I'm in the minority on this one, but I will take an expertly crafted world level design-wise like Bloodborne or Dark Souls over the vast emptiness and pointless resource managing of something like Starfield.
See, the issue with Starfield isn't that like it's randomly or progressively generated. It's the lack, excuse me, of different things that could have been placed, that could have been generated. So, as an example, I already talked about this. You have outposts, but you only have like 3 or 4 of them. And they are like, once you've seen all those like 3 or 4 outposts, you're gonna keep on seeing them on every fucking planet wherever you go. That's the issue. If there were like 20 of them, 30 of them, it would be much better. if they themselves were procedurally generated, so they would like change how like the layout every time they spawn, and it's possible to do that in a single player game, then it would be completely different. But if you have only 10 weapons, and if you have only like 10, 5, whatever, outposts, then it's a completely different story. Then it just like becomes stale and boring.
I personally don't think games need to be bigger in order to become better. The industry as a whole is too focused on quantity instead of quality as it is. I can definitely see a potential future where a year or two from now, Starfield evolves into something truly special. Obviously, as of now anyway, the game has no multiplayer component, which is kind of bizarre given how much effort has gone into this game already. But Bethesda could easily turn Starfield into an MMO-like game. However, also knowing Bethesda, I wouldn't put it past them to eventually create a Starfield 76 version of it like they did with Fallout. Hopefully to better results as well, but it is unfortunate that so much pressure is riding on the performance and release of this game. And it also brings up another interesting situation as well, since people are claiming Starfield is the savior of the Xbox brand when the game itself wasn't even made by Microsoft to begin with. It just happened to be a big game that got acquired is all. But I genuinely can't see Microsoft going forward with releasing every first-party title in the future day one on Game Pass, since economically speaking, as I showed you already, it's a service of severe diminishing returns no matter how you spin it. And I'm sure Bethesda knows very well that they are losing tons of money in sales by holding this game back from PlayStation, as well as putting it behind a subscription model on Xbox as well. And what I said before, I truly do believe that these subscription services will eventually go belly up before long. Even for a billion-dollar company like Microsoft, the writing is on the wall. But I just wonder how long they'll wait until they finally admit it, and I also wonder what state they'll be in as a company once that inevitable future comes to pass. But as it stands right now, with the early reviews out, it seems like Starfield sticks the landing for the most part. It won't shake the industry, I think, the same way Baldur's Gate 3 has, and I doubt Starfield will win Game of the Year either, but it's looking like a fun time that'll bolster Game Pass for now at least. Do I think it'll come to PlayStation eventually? Absolutely. I say within a year, you'll see an announcement for it. I would honestly be surprised if it didn't. But hopefully games don't adopt the Starfield design too hard. Because personally, I'd rather have a game as wide as a lake but deep as an ocean, than a game as wide as an ocean but deep as a puddle. But that's just me. But let me know what you think of the current state of Starfield and whether it'll save Xbox or not. Like the video to help the channel out and subscribe for more content in the future as well.
I don't think
it
will.
Have a great day,
honestly.
and I'll see you in the next one.
It's a good video. It's very informative. I didn't know like most of this. This is the link. Here's the link. I don't know. Is it okay, so I can tell you one thing. The day of launch, Starfield on Twitch, and we can look at it right now. The day of launch, I'm pretty sure that it was Jack Reacher that was here in the chat. I don't know if he left. The day of launch, Starfield had 120,000 people watching on Twitch. And now, if you go into categories, let's see where Starfield is. 50,000. And it's like dropping drastically. Europe is still up. It's like 11 p.m. Central Europe. So Starfield, like European viewers are still up and like watching. But yesterday, like 2 a.m., it was like 35,000 watching Starfield. So it's still here somewhere, but it's fucking crazy that GTA 5 and Valorant, like, first of all, GTA fucking 5, it's a, 10-year-old game, is at the top still every fucking day. It's crazy. Then you have, like, Korea and League of Legends and, like, Warcraft and, like, Dota. Sure. Counter-Strike 2 just got released, so that's why. Like, NBA 2K24, it just got released, so obviously. The fucking GTA 5? What are we talking about? Like, people are just like interested in that. and they're like less and less interested in Starfield, and that's a shame because I really wanted to, like, not the fucking number, but like I'm one of those people basically, and I really wanted to have a lot of fun in Starfield, but currently I'm just waiting for the DLC that's hopefully going to happen in March.
Wampy Eye.